So it's newsletter goes out 3 times a week. Got an audio version too. So one edition is free every week. So Monday is free for anyone. And then Wednesday and Friday are paid.
Okay.
So it's a subscription model that has like a free part to it as well.
And then what's the main theme is all mental toughness and human performance? Yeah,
it's health, human performance. We interpret it a lot of different ways. It's kind of like the Comfort Crisis book in I don't know, newsletter form, like weekly, 3 times weekly form.
Are you writing all the newsletters, or are they coming from other folks as well?
Yeah, I mostly write them all.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I have one person who occasionally helps me, and she's super helpful. But yeah, mostly I just do it all myself. And a lot of it is like, I might have a conversation with someone and you just hear something that's interesting. And it's like, oh, that could make a newsletter to expand on that, some topic. Basically, the point is that I want people who subscribe to it to walk away with information they can use to live better.
Yeah. Yeah, so, like health, longevity, recovery.
Yeah. And I think that like I sort of take the position, there's like, I see media kind of go in 2 ways around health. On one hand, you have the sort of traditional outlets, like a Men's Health or something, that recently, because of the economics of media, have had to sort of turn to a lot of clickbait. And it just sort of like, it isn't that useful. On the other hand, there's people who go, are more sort of the online influencer types who go super, super down the rabbit hole, which some people want that. That can be good for some people, but it goes so far down the rabbit hole, it loses the average person. So I kind of try and be like, okay, what's the middle ground here? Like, I'll give you this rabbit hole information, but I'll tell you like, okay, here's what I think actually works at a practical setting. Because I think a lot of times when you start to apply research conducted in a lab onto a free living human being, it falls apart.
Too much.
It falls apart.
Yeah.
And so you need to be like, okay, well, what are like the sort of larger takeaways here that I can apply and use?
What are some of the big ones you've seen with 2%, like big takeaways on human performance?
Well, the theme is, so the 2%, it comes from this study that found that only 2% of people take the stairs when there's also an escalator.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times in society, with how exercise has evolved, we see exercise as this thing that I do for 30 minutes, a day or 3 times a week, whatever. And then the rest of my life, I'm sedentary. I think that's kind of the average course for people. When really what keeps people healthy over the long run is like, yes, go into the gym and do that. Absolutely. But you need to be making these small decisions in your everyday life, like taking the stairs, that add more activity into your life, and just generally choosing like, I'm going to do the thing that's going to be slightly more uncomfortable in the short term, that's going to give me a long-term benefit. Because like literally 100% of people look at those stairs and that escalator and go, well, I know I'd be healthier if I took those stairs.
98%.
But 98% go, yeah, but I kind of want to just be a little more comfortable right now.
Yeah.
And and it's crazy when you look at like all the data on NEAT, basically just moving more throughout your day, non-exercise activity thermogenesis or whatever. That can add up to like 800 calories a day. That's like an 8-mile run for people, right? And we often forget that, and so it's just these simple little decisions, just they add up for people.
That's a big deal. Yeah, we've seen it a lot with just Montana being a big farm and ranch community. There's consistently over and over again, like ranchers, ranch kids, ranch friends that will come hunting with us and just crush us. And they would never step foot in a gym.
Yeah.
Just that manual labor day after day.
Yeah, they're just moving all day and lifting stuff all day and carrying stuff all day. This is just another day for them, right? For me, I sit behind a desk and write all day. Like that's a big physical event for me. So I got to prepare for that. And even at that, I can't prepare as much. Their life is preparation for that.
Yep. And they're not thinking about it as exercise.
No, they're not thinking about it as exercise. And they're also doing it in an environment that is probably rather close to the hunt, where they're outside, they're used to the temperature swings. And I've heard that also from some of my friends that train people to go into selection or, run selection camps.
Yeah.
I go, it's not the person who comes in just like super jacked, all dialed with their food and everything that makes it through. It's just this like farm boy who shows up like kind of overweight, but he's just like been there.
Yeah.
Frozen, he's used to being cold. He's used to just working for long hours at a time. Those are the people that make it through.
Yeah. Frozen and waking up at 4 a.m, like to feed the cows and horses his whole life since he was 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Just that like adaptation is crazy.
Yeah. And so then the question is like, okay, well, if I do work behind a desk, like, what do I do then? And I think for me, that goes back to like the 2% idea. It's like if I'm at an airport and I got a ton of luggage and I see a giant staircase, it's like, okay, well, here's like a little opportunity to just like hoof some weight up some stairs. And like, I'm not going to take the conveyor belt. I'm going to carry it the whole time. And oh, by the way, I have a 2-hour layover. Like I could go sit in the Sky Club and eat chips. Or like, okay, my bag weighs 30 pounds. I'm just going to walk the terminal for like 2 hours.
Get some laps.
Yeah. And it's like, it's just finding those little wins to add into your life. That's, how I think about it.
Have you done anything with the like treadmill desk or gone that direction at all?
I haven't, no, although I do think that that's probably a good idea for a lot of people. I just don't have the space for it. My office is pretty small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a few mountain toughers that have the treadmill desks and they're even like wearing their like weight vest plates as they're walking and typing.
Awesome.
It's pretty sweet.
Have you used one?
I've never used a treadmill desk.
Okay.
No. Yeah. But I definitely see the value in them. It's big right now in like the 100-miler community.
Oh, interesting.
The ultra runners, because they want as much of that time on feet as possible. So we're seeing more of it there.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, just generally getting more steps throughout the day. It's like such a basic piece of health advice that people are like, nah, we're just going to ignore that. It's like, no, are you getting like at least 10,000 steps? And like, by the way, 10,000 is just this made up number. It's also a good number to hit. So like, who cares if it's made up? Yeah.
I noticed this year we went on some spring bear hunts and my watch is tracking the steps and it's tracking, I think, an 11,000 goal number for daily steps. And so around the office and around work and the gym, I'll always kind of hit that by early afternoon. On those spring bear hunts, my watch was just reminding me that I was hitting it over and over again. So you'd hit that 11,000 goal number like 3, 4, 5 times a day on a bear hunt. Yeah. Like it was super interesting.
Yeah. Well, you look at so the populations that most closely mimic how humans lived in the past are like these hunter-gatherer tribes. And when researchers look at how much they move around a day, they're usually getting about 20,000 steps a day. So that was probably the average of people through all of time. And now the average American is at like 4,500. That changes your physiology. I mean, disease starts to happen pretty quick, And by the way, they're not just like only walking. They're carrying stuff, they're digging, they're doing all sorts of other tasks all day. I mean, we humans had to be active, very active for all of time. And now we don't have to be.
It's a recent trend. Yeah.
Very recent.
Yeah.
Like very recent.
Since all the tech.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which isn't that long.
No, it's really after the Industrial Revolution. And the reason we figured out, there had been some doctors in the past who basically could see that, these people who move the most in their jobs tend to not get diseases quite as often. But the first real experiment was this guy who formally studied the drivers and conductors of double-decker buses in London. So the drivers sit all day driving the bus around. The conductors are running up and down the stairs all day and the aisles, and they're taking tickets and they're doing all this stuff. So we studied their heart disease rates. And of course, he found the conductors weren't getting heart attacks while the drivers were. So that was like the very first study that told us, exercise keeps you healthy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild. What in your life caused the first kind of seed planting and the idea to kind of chase the idea to write The Comfort Crisis? Where did that start?
Yeah, I had, so I worked at Men's Health for a lot of years, and I could just see that everything that I wrote about, you had to go through discomfort to get it. Mm-hmm. So we're writing all these stories about how to improve your fitness, how to lose weight, how to improve your mental health. I mean, all those things. There's going to be uncomfortable moments. Exercise is uncomfortable. If you're losing weight, you're going to be hungry. That's uncomfortable. Even mental health is like, you're going to have some hard conversations sometimes. And I could see that. And then in my own life, I'd just gone through experiences where anytime my life really took a big leap of improvement, there usually was like this like uncomfortable transition period that I had to go through, you know, and you just see that enough times and you're like, okay, I make that observation. And then I ended up through Men's Health getting sent on this story to profile Donnie Vincent, the hunter. Mm-hmm. And so I was, we went hunting. I just joined him on a hunt in Nevada, and it was only out there for like 5 days. But, you know, hunting's uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. You're cold the whole time, hoofing around the whole time. I'm hungry. And it just it was this realization that, oh, wow, well, that's, you know, how humans lived for pretty much all of time. And like, by the way, they didn't have these sweet backpacks and backpacking meals either, you know? And so I just, you know, I'm a naturally curious person. I'm a journalist. And so like, if I have a question in my head, which was basically, I wonder how this has changed us, this tip into comfort we have today. I'm going to start reading studies. I'm going to start calling experts. I'm just going to start digging, basically. And so that's, what set up the book pretty much.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then that led to the next big hunt with Donnie that became the big part of the book, correct?
Yeah. So Donnie, that Men's Health story came out and it was well received, which I would credit to Men's Health because I had pitched the story and I was like, I don't know if they're going to do something on hunting. Like, I really don't know. Mm-hmm. And they took a chance on it and people really liked the story. So Donnie and I kept in touch, and he's a great, have you ever met him?
I haven't met him, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to have you meet him. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
So we kept in touch, and he invited me along on this hunt up in the Arctic. And I had been sort of thinking about how do I turn this article from Men's Health into a much larger book and like go, you know, because it just barely scratched the surface. I'm like, I want to go deeper on this. And I figured I could get people to sort of get into the more complicated health information in the book. Mm-hmm. It's like, here are these discomforts we've lost that can keep us healthy today. If I just start rattling off science and health science, like people's eyes glaze over.
Yeah, you needed that story.
You need a story.
Yeah.
And also I knew that probably by going up there, I would learn things that I didn't know, you know? And like a good example is there's a chapter in the book on silence. I didn't expect to write that chapter before.
Sitting on that hill glassing all day. Yeah.
And it's like dead silent because there's not humans around for 100 miles, you know? And at first it's weird. You're like, this is creepy. But then you kind of calm down, you know, you're like, oh, this is actually pretty nice. So going through that experience, I knew I'd pick up a ton for the book too. So yeah, I signed on. And
it's been crazy because it's been obviously a phenomenal book, and it's also been very popular and created somewhat of a movement for sure, which has been amazing. Like, especially with people doing a lot of ruck workouts and heavy pack workouts. Mm-hmm. But personally, and like in your personal life, what kind of big life transition has happened since the book has been out? Like, what adventure has it taken you on?
That's a good question. No one's asked me that. I got to do another book, which is, I got another book coming out in September, which is a lot of traveling. There's a lot of cool travels for that. but I think so being a writer is weird, right? It's like you lock yourself in it. Like I go do these things to learn these topics, and I'm kind of trying to be a fly on the wall, as a journalist. And then you lock yourself in an office every morning for like 4 hours and you write for like 2-3 years. And then the thing just kind of goes out into the world and it's like, here you go, guys.
Yeah.
You don't know if anyone's going to read it or not. And so I've obviously been very pleasantly surprised that the book has resonated with people. And so probably the biggest change for me is that I kind of have gone from being, as a journalist, trying to be just like the observer to like now people go, hey, you, like, what do you have to say? Like,
it's a big
tell
switch.
us about your ideas. You go from like kind of being the person who like, I go talk to different experts to like now people are seeing me as the expert, which is like I understand why it's warranted because, there are a lot of ideas in there in the book that it's not like any of them are 100% original, but I just think that the way that maybe I put them together and explain them made them feel original or at least resonate more. But it is kind of a strange thing to, people, asking like, tell us about your ideas,
Yeah,
So,
that's a big pivot for sure.
yeah, it's like an entire career you spend as the fly on the wall, and now people are like, yo, let's talk to that fly,
And was it a little bit of a, like getting a book done, is it in a way a little bit of a letdown, kind of like many examples you hear where if we're trying to win like a state championship in football or you're trying to win the Super Bowl, you finally get there and then it's over. Did you feel that way at all with the Comfort Crisis where it was kind of sad to be done working on it?
It's actually it's funny because you turn it in, and this happened with my other book that's coming out. You finish it, you're like, I'm never doing that again. Thank God. Literally like a week later, you're going, I wonder if that'd be a good idea for a book. It's just like a glutton for punishment, but it's like, I feel like humans are, we are creatures that don't settle. There's a reason that we took over the world, right? Like we are an insane species. I mean, think about that. Like, people like early humans in Africa 50,000 years ago, whatever it was, they go, let's go see what's over that bend. And then over that one. And then over that one. And then eventually like some of them are up in what is now Russia. And there's like this ice bridge. They're like, let's cross the ice bridge, guys.
Yeah.
And then they come down into America. Like we're crazy, crazy animals in the sense that we always want to kind of be doing something and moving the ball forward, which is why we are, sitting here on a podcast that's all wired in and we have electricity and we're drinking canned drinks and like grizzly bears are not.
Yeah.
Right.
We are an ambitious species for sure.
So I think that like leaning into that is good though too, It's like it can kind of give you an edge, I guess.
So through all that work and the research, it did kind of lead you down this journey of doing a lot of the pack workouts though, correct? And so that was something that wasn't a big part of your life before the book, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I had been doing little stuff with GoRuck for at least 10 years. I mean, the first year that they started these GoRuck challenges, which is like a 12-hour rucking thing. And, I was at Men's Health at the time. So I'm always kind of looking for like, what is new in this space of fitness and health. And so they'd come on my radar and I think I'd done a little story about him. And I kept in touch with Jason, like he's a cool, interesting guy. And then once I started putting the book together and doing a lot of, like, I'm really into anthropology, and it kind of, occurred to me that looking at all this like data and what did humans evolve to be good at, like we're we're the ultimate carriers. No other animal can carry like we do, you know, and that's another reason we could take over the world. And people don't do that as much anymore, you know, and it's a very important part of fitness. I mean, that is the thing we're good at, you know? And, so I just got, super, super into that and what it can do for us, like rucking, not just rucking. I mean, I sort of consider rucking to be anything where you're carrying weight over distance, you know? Yeah. And so I think that the easiest entry point for people is, you know, like a backpack with some weight in it, like Go Ruck makes, but I think people should be doing carries, farmer carries,
shoulder carries, log carries.
Yeah, it's like we did in the workout today where we're doing we have the weight on the sandbag on the shoulder and we walked for 2 minutes, you know, on each side. I mean, that's great.
And scientifically through like the research you dove into, rucking over distance is a pretty big piece of low-hanging fruit for a lot of people to apply to their life, just because the way the body just crushes calories when you put a pack on your back. Is that accurate?
Yeah, you burn significantly more calories than you would if you were walking, like 2 to 3 times more calories. That's from some University of South Carolina research. And the other reason I like it is that it's safe. So it has about the same injury rate as walking, assuming you don't go too heavy. Like obviously if you put like 120 pounds on your back, like you might have some problems. But so long as you keep under a third of your body weight, like people don't really get injured doing it. The injury rate for running is much higher.
Yeah.
And I think partially, and you would have a better sense of this than me. I think partially part of the problem with the running injury rate is that people try to do too much too soon, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, and I'm not saying running's bad at all because I run all the time. I think people should, if you can't run right now, I think you should diagnose, okay, why can't I run? Let's fix that problem and like, let's get some running in. But I think that if you were to ask me, you know, what's one exercise? If you have to do one exercise the rest of your life, I'm carrying.
Rucking.
Yeah.
Are you seeing it pick up steam with like the non-hunting, non-military community where just the normal civilians are throwing on weight and going for walks?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. A lot of women are drawn to it. And rucking I think is probably the best exercise, one of the best exercises that women can do because it is really good for bone density, maintaining and maybe even improving bone density. And women, especially as they age, starts to have bone density issues. Now, this is like the most unsexy topic ever. Because like, okay, I can't see how dense my bones are, whatever.
Catches up with you though.
The reason it's important is because if you fall and you're over 65, I think the age is, or it might even be 55, maybe 65. If you fall and break a hip over age 65, you have a 50% chance of dying in the next 6 months. Like it is a catastrophic injury.
That's insane.
And the reason a hip breaks is because your bones aren't dense, right? So this is something that we need to address that often doesn't get addressed. And rucking is a great way to do it. Not to mention, you can kind of do it with anyone. Like, you know, I could go for a ruck with my wife and we're going to go the same pace. She's going to use less weight than me.
Yeah.
I'm going to use more, but we can talk, we can catch up. It's just very practical. And you can do it doing anything. Like if you're going to walk your dogs, throw a ruck on.
Yeah. Kids, dogs, you can do it anywhere.
Yeah, totally.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Like I'll take meetings. I'll take ruck meetings, I call them. Like if I got to talk to someone on the phone, it's like, I'm just going to throw a ruck on and I'm going to walk around my neighborhood and take that call instead of just, you know, sitting in my office for more time.
That's awesome. It's great for like community building too.
Yeah.
It's like rucking with buddies and going on hikes.
Totally. Yeah. It's just, it also maintains muscle mass. If not, in some cases, grows it. Oh, so you guys are into hunting. There's this really fascinating study where they took a bunch of measurements of hunters. They were in Alaska. I can't remember how long the hunt was. I want to say it was like 12 days, 2-week hunt. And of course, they're carrying everything in. So their packs were heavy, right? It's like 60, 80 pounds or something. And those guys had lost, I think it was like 5 to 10 pounds, but none of it came from muscle.
Wow.
It was all fat. They actually increased their muscle mass by a very small amount, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like that shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Right? If you lose weight, your body's going to pull some from fat, it's going to pull some from muscle. But the fact that you have a ruck on, it's basically helping you. You're doing strength work all day.
Your body's saying maintain this muscle.
Yeah.
But use the fat as the energy source.
Yeah. Ditch the fat. Right.
Yeah.
And so that makes it a pretty unique tool for people who are trying to lose fat.
Yeah. And you just build that strong chassis too with the ruck where all the stabilizers have to fire, which makes you a lot less prone for injury and like anything else that you're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Like with, it's good for preventing or even relieving back pain because it just pulls your torso into a sort of safer position basically and works out a lot of things, strengthens your core.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome to see it catch fire across the country. Like I've personally seen it just with like the Go Ruck communities and how they've just kind of spread all over the country with people out walking together.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It's great to see people doing it. I mean, it's to your point about it being low hanging fruit. It is just something that you can do pretty easily. And people will message me and they're like, how do I start? It's like, do you have a backpack at home? It's like everyone has a backpack at home. Do you have something that weighs something at home?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I'm like, okay, throw some books in, throw some water bottles in, throw some cans in, throw a dumbbell in your bed, like just anything, just start. And then if people want to like buy specialized gear for it, great, you know.
But it's so simple. Yeah.
So simple. Yeah.
The simplicity makes it great. So tell me what's going on with the new book. Where'd that idea come from?
The new book is called Scarcity Brain, and it's out in September 26th. And it's funny, the idea actually kind of came from my editor. He was texting me one day and he's like, man, I was just at the bakery and I went in for like one donut and the one donut was $4. And the lady was like, I'll sell you 6 for $6. He's like, and I was like, all right, yeah, give me all 6. He's like, and I was only planning on eating 1 and I ate 4. And he's like, I feel like, you know, when people get these like scarcity cues, like they can get more or they don't have enough, we tend to always like default to more. I go, yeah, that's like there's a whole like field of research on scarcity and how it affects us. And so he's like, okay, would you want to write a book about it? And I'm like, sure, you know.
That's wild.
Yeah. So that's what it's about. It's about why can't humans ever get enough? You know, we're relentless in the fact that we consume as well.
Yeah.
And so it looks at food stuff, information, influence, number of people we can influence. All these things used to be scarce in the world. And so we're wired to default to more of them, overconsume them when we have the opportunity. But now we've tipped into abundance of all those things. And so it looks at how that's affecting us.
Is it an American thing or is it a global?
It's global. Yeah, it's a human thing, really. And it's in a lot of species too. Like, for example, my dog, if I let that thing loose at a buffet, it would eat until it just vomited and then it would eat some more. And it would just be this cycle, right? So it's like, it never ever made sense to watch what you ate in the past to if you could get a tool that would help you to like not take that, right? But now we have Amazon Prime. We've got like grocery stores filled with food. We've got, and you think about information.
Yeah.
Like a person today sees more information in one day than a person 700 years ago would have seen in their entire life.
In one day.
In one day.
That's insane.
And so all these different things are affecting us. And it looks at how, and also like, what is enough and how do you find it? And so, it was an interesting book to write and research. I traveled all over for it. I went to the jungle in Bolivia for it. Was really cool. I went to Iraq. I went all over the U.S. It's fun. A lot of times these books are like, let's find an interesting story in an interesting place and go there and see what happens.
Did you find a population that has a better handle on it than Americans do?
Yeah, in a lot of different ways. So like, here's an example. It's like in the chapter about food. What led me there is I read this study years ago about this tribe in the Bolivian Amazon. They're called the Chamane, and they don't get heart disease. Like they don't get it. They have the healthiest hearts ever recorded by science. And also like they don't seem to get Alzheimer's. They don't get, diabetes. They don't get all these diseases that kill us basically. And so I traveled down to meet them, and it has to do with food and what they eat. And a lot of it is just that they only eat foods that have a single ingredient. Now, if you looked at their diet, at some point it's going to offend every fad diet we've ever had in the last like 50 years, right? It's not keto. It's not like paleo. It's not low fat. It's not low carb.
It's just out of the ground, probably.
It's just out of the ground, yeah. And they hunt a lot of their meat. They do a lot of fishing. But the only commonality is that each food has just one ingredient. It's like, it's rice, it's plantains, it's bananas, it's fish. It's they have a deer down there called tapir. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Tapir, and they'll eat that as well. That's like a red meat they'll eat. So
and no like pesticides or anything on crops.
Yeah, probably not.
Wild.
Yeah.
And the fitness wise, they're just manual labor.
Manual labor. Yeah, a lot of it. They're not big either. Yeah. But they move a lot too. They're probably in like the 20,000 steps a day. But what's interesting is there's other tribes. So to get to them, like I have to fly into La Paz, which is a few flights, and then drive 12 hours down these sort of crazy cliffy roads, and then into the jungle. And then you get to this town, and then you take a canoe like 6 hours upriver. But there's tribes that are 1 hour upriver from town who will go buy, bread and oil and fry their stuff. So instead of just having the fish cooked, baked basically over fire, they're going to bread it and fry it. And they're starting to have incidents of heart disease.
That's insane.
Even though they're still moving the 20,000 steps a day. So to me, it really sort of suggests that you need to have both exercise and you need to watch sort of what you're eating, And it's obviously like you got to keep things within a range. And I would never tell someone don't eat a Big Mac because I don't want to live in a world where I can't eat a Big Mac, But I do think if we want to get to the bottom of a lot of the diseases that most affect us, we need to make some changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that tribe connected into technology at all? Any phones down there?
No phones.
They're off the grid pretty much.
Yeah, they're pretty much off the grid. There's not electricity. I mean, this is like you're in this small village, first of all, where you drive to. You get in a canoe that is they call them peke peke boats. They're probably like 30 feet long and they're super thin, and they have a motor on them that's called a longtail motor. So it's like motor with like this pipe that puts the propeller like 6 feet away. I don't know if you've ever seen those.
Yeah, like a brush hog duck boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you take that thing 6 hours and it all looks the same. It's like it all looks the same for 6 hours. And then like your guy, the boat captain, if you will, he's like just cruises it up on the bank and it's like, we're here. I'm like, dude, we had 6 hours of this and like you just knew it was there. And then you're like, okay. And you kind of like walk up a bank and there's like, thatched huts and like there they are.
Society.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, dude, it's wild.
That's crazy. What was like the worst environment that you studied related to scarcity brain? Like, is it?
There's a chapter on addiction, basically. I mean, because when you think addiction is like the extreme end of that, right? It's, I can't get enough and I keep doing this thing, even though I know it's hurting me in the long term. So to sort of understand that, I traveled to Iraq, which is an interesting case study in addiction because they didn't really have a drug problem until a couple things happened. One, the war happens. So then you have a population that has, a lot of trauma. They've seen a lot of crazy things. And by the way, there's like no mental health resources there. And then two, when Syria went into a civil war, Syria basically became a narco state. So Syria makes all kinds of drugs, but this big one they have is called Captagon, and it's basically like methamphetamine. It's analogous to. So what ended up happening is you get this surge of this drug into Iraq, and you have a lot of people who have problems without much of a way to solve it, and that provides a short-term solution. But it creates a cycle where you're choosing a short-term relief at the expense of a long-term gain in your life. Yeah. And so that was, I was in Baghdad most of the time, and it was just a lot of traveling around Baghdad, meeting with like kind of a lot on the outskirts with, I went into like prisons and, like these groups that are basically drug task forces and met with some like intelligence officers and went into like rehab centers, and it was pretty wild.
Just a lot of addiction everywhere.
Yeah. And it's a totally new thing there. They like don't even know what the hell to do with it. Cause a lot of it was because Saddam Hussein would not, there was just no drugs in the country with him because it was like the iron fist, right? Like literally if people got caught with drugs, like it was a serious penalty. So, yeah.
Wild. So Scarcity Brain, do you get into chapters that are recommending some ways to cut back on too much stimulus, too much information, too much tech, too much food?
Yeah.
What are some of those recommendations?
Well, one of the things that was interesting is I identified this, it's a habit loop that I call the scarcity loop. And it's basically like if you want to get someone to do something over and over, eventually to their detriment, the behavior needs to have three things. It needs to have an opportunity to improve your life. It needs to have unpredictable rewards, and it needs to have quick repeatability. So picture a slot machine. You have an opportunity to win money. It's unpredictable. You know you're going to win, but you don't know when. If you keep pulling and pulling, eventually you might win something, right? And then the repeatability, of course, is that you can just play
over and over again.
Yeah. But you see that in social media, right? That's Instagram. It's I'm going to find something. Oh, there it is. Keep going.
The likes, the rewards.
It's on Twitter. It's even opening email. It's in, obviously a lot of people getting super into sports betting. It's in that. It's in the financial system in a lot of the apps like Robinhood. They rely on that. And it's just sort of this like ancient game that basically captivates human attention.
And chemically, is it the dopamine?
It's the anticipation. Yeah. It's the anticipation of getting something that is good for you, that you perceive as being good for you. But it's also an addiction, right? Because it's like that cycle of like, I want the short-term reward. I want the short-term reward. I want the short-term reward. So a lot of the book talks about, how do I get out of that? And there's different ways. You can basically take away the opportunity. You can take away the unpredictable rewards, or you can stop the quick repeatability. So with the example of food, it's like our junk food system, people will eat more food faster when it's ultra processed. As opposed to when it's, like a single ingredient, like
whole food.
Well, think about like how fat, like, okay, let's say that we have, like you and I are each going to eat 1,000 calories, and they bring us 1,000 calories in pizza and then 1,000 calories in like chicken, rice, and broccoli.
Yeah.
Like we could smash the 1,000 calories in pizza in like 4 minutes.
So fast.
Oh, so fast. the chicken, rice, and broccoli, we'd be like, oh my God, when are we going to be done with this? This would be like the workout we did this morning, but the food version, dude. So slowing down, like the quick repeatability is important. But then the other thing that's really interesting about that scarcity loop system is you can use it to find things that are good for you, or at least lead you to do things that are good for you. So think of shed hunting. Mm-hmm. Shed hunting is the exact same as a slot machine, except you're in nature.
That's true. Yeah.
I have an opportunity to find something like
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
And I know it's out there, but I don't know where. So I'm searching. Oh, didn't find it. I'm searching. Oh, didn't find it. I'm searching. Oh, didn't find it. I'm searching. Jackpot. Mm-hmm. Right?
And it's repeatable. You can go again.
You're just doing it. Yeah. And it's in all sorts of things like that. Like birding, you get that. Fishing is the same thing. Mm-hmm. So it's like, how can we, this thing that the human brain is sort of captivated by, that we fall into, it's being co-opted by technology in a lot of ways to drive us into things that are not good for us. But you can apply it to things that are good for you. Right? Because as you're shed hunting, you're exercising, you're getting out in nature, you might be out there with other people. So you're getting social elements. Whereas if I'm on, I don't know, if I'm sports betting on my phone, I'm like alone, I'm, whatever. Or if I'm at a slot machine, I'm alone, I'm doing whatever. And I'm not saying those things are like, don't ever do them, but I think people need to be careful with them, because like I can sit down, I live in Las Vegas. Like I can sit down to a slot machine and put in like $50 and I'll have a great time.
It's all around you. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's fun. It's like, okay, great. I do it like once every 2 months. At the same time, you go to a casino and there's people that like, they just sit there all day. You know? But for another person, it might be like TikTok. Mm-hmm. It might be this other thing. So you just got to be careful with it.
What did you get into in the book related to tech and social media? I guess A, addictions, and B, recommendations for people getting off of them. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that addiction is really interesting because we tend to think about it as like this line, and there's two ways we think about it that I think are off. One, we think about it as a line in the sand. At some point, like, okay, well, this person's addicted and this isn't, because we've drawn this line. I don't really see this. I just see it as like you're on a spectrum of behaviors. And at some point when this thing, you start to do it regularly at the expense of like long-term benefits in your life, the point where this thing starts messing up your larger goals, that's when it becomes problematic. Mm-hmm. The second point about addiction is that people, and this is largely sort of a government thing, is that they argue that it's a brain disease.
Addiction.
That basically like this is just a disease people have. And I used to actually think that myself. I don't think that anymore. I think it is more a sort of like learning disorder where you've learned this one behavior so well that you can't get out of it.
Like the neural pathway hardwiring.
Yeah. So if you think about someone who's a drug addict, their problem is that they keep choosing the short-term reward or escape at the expense of the long-term larger benefit, right? Because like it might seem completely irrational for a heroin addict to do heroin again. But if you're withdrawing from heroin, that's the most reasonable thing you could do at the moment, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a reasonable thing. So when you sort of apply that to social media, I think really it's like the point where someone spending too much time on social becomes problematic is like, are you doing this at the expense of things that are going to give you a greater reward and meaning in the long term? So that could be
family.
That could be, I think family's a huge one. Mm-hmm. It could be exercise. Be like, I was going to work out, but I got sucked into TikTok. It could be, it could be all sorts of things. And it's really just, being moderate with it, because like I started talking to you guys on Instagram.
There's some pros. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys put out killer stuff on Instagram. And so part of it too can be like, what is the feed feeding me? Right. You can choose who you're going to follow.
Yeah.
Too. So.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. Just like the power of it and the pros and the negatives. And then what I've seen a lot lately is like, because my daughters are 8 and 10, and just seeing the impacts it can have on those really young kids is wild, just how quickly it can kind of suck them in. And it's more difficult to explain, I think, to like a 11, 12, 13-year-old, like the negative impacts it could have, because that doesn't really register in their brains quite yet, because they just see it as this fun little tool.
Yeah.
So that's been pretty fascinating.
And it's probably tough too, because like if their friends are on it, you know,
and you get some pressure too. Mm-hmm. Or like you can have rules around your kids, and you can kind of decide on those guidelines, but then some of those rule systems fall apart when they're around like 3 or 4 friends that have like unrestricted access to anything that they want.
Yeah. It's got to be tough.
Yeah, it's difficult to navigate for sure.
Yeah, it's a strange world. And I think especially for girls, it's most of the research. So there's a guy named Jonathan Haidt who's out of NYU who does a lot of research on this, and it does seem to impact girls the most, especially girls' mental health. And that's why Facebook got into huge hot water, because they kind of knew this and didn't do anything about it. And then there was that whistleblower thing. Do you remember when that happened a year or two ago?
Yeah.
So
just over like females are more prone to like be drawn into aesthetics and like looking beautiful, and then they could play off all that with advertising, correct?
Mm-hmm. And I think there might be more bullying too, like remote bullying, like, you know, men and women, well, kids, young kids who are man or woman, they tend to bully each other differently. Like dudes, you know, we're idiots. They're just going to be like, oh, you're a dummy, and then smack each other, right?
Yeah.
Whereas girls, that can be sort of more background and
manipulative,
cutting, and there's less likelihood of things being settled physically. It's kind of
crazy.
Yeah.
So scarcity brain, is it arguing for like a simpler life?
It's basically arguing for becoming aware of how the phenomenon impacts you, and basically realizing that we're sort of wired to consume, to buy more, to eat more, to do all these things, because awareness is a big part of changing behavior. Like you can't change a behavior you're not aware of. And then it sort of gives people a lot of different pathways out. Yeah,
awesome.
That can be helpful. And unfortunately, it's hard work, you know. It's definitely not like, you know, any change is going to be tricky. And a lot of it too, I think, is getting to the bottom of like, why are you doing this thing in the first place? Why are you doing this? Like, I don't think, you know, like I said with addiction, the government sort of argues that it's like this brain disease and like, you know, you have this gene and that's why you're addicted. It's like, no, not really. Like people who are addicted to drugs, they're usually using it as a coping mechanism for something else. And so like, we gotta solve this something else before we can ever, you know, get to the bottom of whatever's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating. Because I think even like the 12-step programs are rooted off it being a disease, aren't they?
They are. Yeah. Yeah. And so like, I'm sober. I don't drink. I had a problem with alcohol. So I had been sort of brought up into that. And I think that can be maybe useful messaging for people at first. Like I talked to this really brilliant psychiatrist who's like, you know, if people come in and like the idea that it's a disease helps them find space, like I'm fine with them. You know, I'm not going to tell them otherwise. But I think that, you know, even if we assume it is a disease that originates in the brain, we kind of have to think about, okay, well, what kind? Because it's not like Alzheimer's, right? There's no incentive that you could give someone with Alzheimer's to change. But incentives do actually work with people who are addicted to drugs. Yeah. Like have you heard about the soldiers in Vietnam with heroin? No. Okay. So in Vietnam, a lot of our soldiers used heroin. There's an estimation that I think it was like 20% of our soldiers were addicted to heroin. And so Nixon is like, I don't want all these heroin addicts coming back in the country. If you want to come back to the U.S., you have to produce a clean urine test. And so with the thinking being like that, people don't ever change when they're addicted. The thinking was we're going to leave a lot of people in Vietnam. Well, the reality is that literally like every single soldier passed the test.
It was a big enough incentive.
They had an incentive to
That's
change.
crazy.
Yeah, because they were in this hell of a war zone. And in order to leave it, they had to stop doing heroin. And when they got home, by the way, everyone stayed clean. So one of the problems with trying to change addiction is that if someone is in this hell of their own war zone, metaphorical, and that doesn't change, well, like, why would you not do the drug? Right. And so I think like so many changes need to happen, but it all kind of goes back to the environment and like, why are we doing drugs in the first place? For the guys in Vietnam, it's like, it's because I'm in like this hell of war.
Yeah. That's pretty wild that there could be an incentive that strong that would lead to them quitting like that. Because that would be hard to replicate on your own, like at home, if you were struggling with alcoholism. To create something that monumental to get you to quit almost cold turkey. Yeah.
I think it needs to be like, and sometimes I think, when people do quit in a situation like that, it just finally becomes such the like any short-term reward starts to really wear off and it starts to become so like negative that it tips, so.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's a really complex and interesting topic, but
I'm stoked to read it, man. That's going to be awesome. Do you have ideas brewing for the next one already?
Yeah, unfortunately. My editor was like, I texted my editor like a week after I turned in the one, was like, I kind of got this one idea. And he was like, well, what if you did a book about like this? And I'm like, all right, now I'm working on a proposal. So yeah,
that takes a lot of discipline, writing like 3-4 hours a day like that.
Yeah, but I like it,
Yeah.
It's like, you with training, I'm sure it's like you'd be training whether or not it was your livelihood or not.
Yeah, it just becomes your cup filler.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you do it all like early mornings at home?
Yeah, I wake up pretty early and usually write for 4 to 5 hours, I would say, on average.
That's awesome.
When I'm traveling, like I have to kind of sneak it in differently. Like this morning I wrote for a while and I'll probably do some later tonight. But yeah, just on an average day at home, it's 4 or 5 hours.
And are you still working at the university?
Yeah. Awesome. So I teach 3 classes. They're all on Monday. So I'm down there like one day. One's a big lecture with 150 kids. And then the other 2 are more upper level writing classes. So it's fun.
And it's, so they're writing classes that you're teaching.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's a good time. It's an interesting time to be a professor, but UNLV is unique in that a lot of the students are hustlers. They're working 40 hours a week. They're gritty. And so I definitely take that into account. It's not, it's like when I first started teaching, I had this girl who would show up in class, and I think the class was at like 10 a.m. And she would always be nodding off, falling asleep. And I'm just going like, this freaking girl.
Frustrated.
Yeah. And so finally I talked to her and she's like, oh yeah, I work at, she worked at some maybe nightclub at one of the casinos on the Strip. She's like, I get off work at like 4:30 a.m. It's like, oh, well, that changes things.
Yeah. Glad you're here.
Yeah. Like here, I'm thinking you're staying up late, just like partying. Like, no, you're putting yourself through college.
Yeah.
And that's very different. And, I think that's one of the reasons why too, that you see in universities with students who have to work more and put themselves through it, there tend to be less social and cultural issues at those universities. There's less of the sort of cliche you hear about university students, canceling everyone and losing their mind. And this professor said that. And so we got to go picket. And that happens if you don't have to work all the time and can just sit around and look for problems.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen at UNLV and other universities like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tied into comfort crisis type stuff. Like when you're working hard and you're uncomfortable, there's less time to get in trouble or create trouble out of nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, man. It's interesting. Today's workout was good. I enjoyed it.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the sandbag stuff.
Yeah. The sandbags are good. I like GoRuck sandbags. Just any sandbag is going to be a good tool. Good for garage gyms too, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. Just the instability you get out of a sandbag is like if you had that same weight on a barbell, it'd be incredibly easy.
Yeah.
But the instability on those bags is great.
Mm-hmm. Less, I think, I feel like for the average person for a garage gym, it's like probably sandbags and maybe a couple kettlebells.
Oh, yeah.
Aren't you guys coming out with like a new kettlebell program?
Yep. Yeah, that'll come out in September or October. Or we have a kettlebell 20 that is one of our most popular programs we ever built. It's 4 weeks of kettlebell training, and it's a pretty hardcore program. We pushed our athletes pretty hard in that one, and it really kind of does a really good job of like full body functional training with just one kettlebell. So it took off with people using it in like home and garage gyms just because of the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
And so many mountain toughers have finished that one and gone through it their second or like third or fourth time.
That's cool.
They've kind of been begging us for a new one. And so that'll come out this year, which will be awesome.
All right. I'll have to do it.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
They're fun. And with the Mountain Tough app, you can kind of compete with the other two athletes that are on the screen. So it'd be like Sarah or I coaching two, and then it's live. It's essentially you hit play in the app and you can kind of keep up with the athletes.
That's cool.
So it'd be sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel like most people would do well with kettlebells, sandbags, and a ruck. Yeah, you can get a lot done with that.
You get a lot done.
I mean, you could even like not even buy the ruck plate. You could just use the sandbag and the ruck.
Yeah.
And you're in it for, I don't know, a couple $100, a few $100.
Yeah, you can always find something heavy to put in the ruck once you have it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thanks for swinging by the lab. I'm stoked to have you at Tough Fest tomorrow. It's going to be awesome.
Thanks for physically assaulting me with the workout and then making me get in a 34-degree tub. It's really been great. Just kidding. No, it's been awesome, man. I'm glad we could finally make this happen.
Yeah, likewise.
It's good to be here.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.